Good morning, everyone. This is BizChicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today is the day that we talk with our favorite coach, Coach Caren Fern, all the way from Toronto, all about our money.
Yes.
Our financial picture for our business and our financial picture for our life. I want to give a shout out to my friend and co-host, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. She's on the road today, and we wish her well in all her endeavors. But we are going to dig deep today because Coach has got a really interesting subject. I'm like, what? Say what? Okay. So, Coach, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm going to introduce to some and present to others Coach Caren Fern, all the way from Toronto, Canada.
Oh my God. Thank you for joining us today. If you're coming in live and for the replay viewers, we appreciate you. So all last month, we finished up the first half of the year talking about so many things, right? But the last one was on sales.
Yes.
And I wanted to introduce this month to this section before I carry on, because this is so important. This is so important. Every time I get a client who says, I don't want to sell, I just want to hire a sales rep and be done with it, I'm like, girl, go get a job. You can't send anybody to sell anything if you don't know what you got. You got to know what you got, which means you got to sell it. And so today we're talking about, what are you selling? You got to know what you're selling. You got to know what you're selling. And we talk about who you're selling to, find the leads and all that, but you got to know what you're selling. You know what you're truly selling. That's what we're going to talk about. And is it a product or a service, or is it both? You need to know. And do you know your product or services? To know it really well.
That's a good question. Do we really know our products and services?
Yeah, your service. You got to know all your product, whatever you're selling. Before I even get, I'm going to tell a little tiny story. There was a friend of mine that we met at work, and her kids had just fell in love with me. I loved them so, and they loved me. And the second son had said to me, I don't even think we were in a year into the friendship. We were talking a day, and he said, yes, Caren girl, I'm going to be a millionaire in a couple years. You know, we were talking. His mom was like, what is this kid bumping and chatting about? And of course, I was looking so young at the time. He thought him and I were age group. I'm like, nope. But he was excited to explain how he's going to be a millionaire. So I guess his mom had talked to him about me helping her with monies and what have you. But anyhow, and he jumped in and he said it. You know, time had passed by, and I saw him a couple of years later when the subject came up about again. So I said, Wayne, how is the millionaire journey going? He goes, I know you would believe me because nobody else did. He goes, I'm on track. Next year it's going to happen. His mom, nobody believed him, right? So he was happy that I was like still investigating it after all this time. He's like, you heard me. He said, I want you to know, this is the part. You heard me. Most people just brush me aside. He said, and you believe it too because you're asking. I said, well, why not? He said, so within the year that he said that to me, he got married, he bought a house, he bought a car. He and his wife was having some problems. So many things were happening. And so it showed up as though this wouldn't happen. I'm going to leave it here as to tell you. It did happen because he did not let the things I just mentioned stop the process of what he was about. He stick to his guns regardless of what's going on. And that's what you have to understand. So when you know what you're selling, you know where you're going to get to. What was Wayne selling? He was selling his God-given talent. That's what he sold. What people bought was the idea that he can fix computers. But Wayne never sold that. That's what they think they bought. He understood his ability. He understood it. And he told me this when I had asked him. He said, I understood that God has given me the gift of computers. I don't know why. And so the reason I got in trouble regularly with my mom is because she wasn't given that gift. So she never understood me. So I would say to her, why am I wasting time learning the piano? I'm not going to be a pianist. Or she had him sign up in the sport. He used to play rugby. We call it home, but I think it's football here. And so he used to play and he was good at it. But he would go to practice and he would say to her, he told her, why am I here? This is not what I'm supposed to
do. This is not what I do.
Yeah, but he would take, she would take him. And he did so well that he keep moving up and whatever space he got. I don't understand the sport, but he keep doing well. And she says, you see, this is what you're supposed to be doing. He said, no. And he said they had it out really bad one day and she beat him so bad that social services were called. He was moved from the home and what have you.
Oh, my.
But this sung bad. But this, you know what that did? That
it led to
where he needed to be. So the home he got placed into, the woman asked him, he said, on day 3, she said to him, what do you really want to do, son? And he said, not what I want to do. I was born. And he said he was only about 10 or 11. I was born to look after computers. I was born to show people what to do in the computers, in businesses, so they can do really good. And she said, wow. He said, she literally said to him, you sure? He said, yes. So when they got to the court, and his mom had to show up there and to get back parenting, rights and blah, blah, the whole 9 yards. And they gave her the stuff to do. She said she's not going to do it. And he said he knew that he couldn't go back home yet. And the lady that was fostering him said to him, do you want to stay? He says, yes. He said he stayed with her for 4 years. And that is
prime years.
Yes. And it felt bad. The mama told me she felt bad in a way. The courts couldn't understand why she didn't want him back. But he told me, he says, Caren, I couldn't go back home. If I went back home, I wouldn't be where I am today.
I wouldn't be able to discover who I am.
He wouldn't have been able to because the lady gave him the freedom that he needed. So anything that had to do with computers, he did. Now, he still played the sport because he said he had started to enjoy it. So he still played. He played all the way through high school. But once he was finished high school, he was right back home. And the new things happened because his mom says, which college, which university you want to go to? And he said, why would I do that? And she said, what do you mean? He says, the game hasn't changed. I know what I came here to do.
Okay.
And he was 18 by then. So she really didn't have a choice in terms of making him do whatever he needed to do. So he went out and get a job. And he started at the bottom. He knew what he needed to do. I'm going to end it saying he became one of the top salespeople in IBM. Those days that was big for, computers.
Yes.
And he never went in to work at IBM. He said the day he showed up and he got the interview, he told the guy, he says, I came here to show your salespeople how to sell the idea of what you do. And he said the man was back in his chair like this and he goes, who's doing this interview? Your eye. He says, it's just kind of a formality. I know what I came to do. So I'm just letting you know. That's what I came to do. If you want to give me a try, thank you. If you don't, I'm going to try a new computer, company that will give me the chance. Yes. He said the guy didn't know what to do with himself, but he said to him, listen, I'm going to think about it and get back to you. Of course, they got back to him. They didn't offer him the job. And he was okay with it because he realized that he needed to be somewhere else. He said, the moment the guy said, I'll get back to you, I needed to be somewhere else.
He knew he didn't get it.
Yeah. And he said he went somewhere else and he got the job on the spot. And that job taught him things that when he was ready, because he always talked about getting ready. When he was ready, he went back to IBM because that was the place he wanted to be, to showcase to them. He went back now with a portfolio, now able to be more assertive, and he got that job. Wayne is a guy, I always talk about him because I just watch her, a child, because I know what I did when I was a child. So when I see him, he's like my other part of me who says, this is what's possible, And Wayne was able to, he lives in the States right now, able to move through life. My point is though, within the year that he told me, he became a millionaire. A company from the States, watch his stats. People are always watching you. Came to Canada, saw him, offer him a job. And he didn't take the job right away because, again, he's a guy that knew what needed to be done. He took a job right here initially. They paid him $500,000 and he was fine with that job because he needed some more things to learn. Then he took the job and another company came for him from the States and they offered him $1.5 million. You know what this guy does? I'm telling you what he does. He goes into companies. He audited the company, watching to see where money goes, where money flows. And he shows you what can happen in your company, all done through the computer. That's his gifting. He doesn't have a degree. He never went to college. Everything is by instinct and what he truly listens and hears. When you tell people this who don't understand how God works, they're baffled. They're like, what's happening? But the truth is, he tells all of us, most of us don't listen. This kid started listening early. That was so true.
Most of us do not listen.
We don't listen.
But as children, we all have something that we're bent toward. I know as a child, from the time I was like 4 or 5, I used to play school all the time. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I knew that was my destiny to.
Yes.
It was just in me. It was the seed was in there.
It was there. It was there, and you go forth with it. So there you are.
And it came out in different forms.
Yes.
Became a trainer.
Yes. Yes. And so when I say, do you truly know what you're selling? You're selling that thing that you know it's of you. And sometimes you can't tell people it the way we're talking about it because it's hard for them to get it. So you have to be creative. And if you don't know how, when you talk with the fact that he allow your creativity to come out in such a way that you still sell it to the right people, but with the knowing that what it is you're giving to them. And why you need to know is that when times are hard, you do well. When times are soft, you do well. Always in all ways, because you understand what you're selling. We in today's world are so busy worrying about what people want so that we do things to give people what they want. And nothing is wrong with that. Once you understand that, you need to understand the core of what you're selling.
Okay, so Jerry says this is awesome. It's
Thanks,
so
Jerry.
true. She says, we're here, but don't follow directions. It's just true. Yeah.
We're after our own thinking and time and space, and we want to do whatever it is we want to do. And it takes us when it strays us so far away, it's a longer road coming back to who you were created to be, for the things that you're supposed to do. And I remember one time asking God, why are you allowing me? And I mean allowing me to do so many things, because I am not those people who do a lot of things and don't do them well. I do things. I could sit here and boast on me that I do things very well. If I made you a dress, it will fit you very well. If I did your hair, it's going to look really good. If I cook you a meal, it's going to be tasty. I can bake very well. I can do a whole lot of things. And I remember asking at one point, why am I gifted with so many things? Because I was talking to somebody who said, I don't know what I want to do. And I was like, I could have given some of this to somebody. And as I speak on it and I was praying on it and meditated on it, that's how I knew I had to become a coach, because he was prepping me for all the things that I was being gifted with. Not necessarily because each of them was going to be a business separately, but he wanted me to know it so well that I can help somebody else. A friend of mine had a salon and she wasn't doing well with it. And I got in there and helped her to make the salon be profitable. But that's because I had the knowledge of hair. When I help somebody in a sewing situation, that's because I have the knowledge of sewing. Not necessarily that I have to teach a class, which I've done, but it was preparing me for these areas for the people I was going to
Mhm.
work with.
Mhm. Now, Jerry says, let's see, we got some comments over here.
Mhm.
Jerry says, I so relate to you. She says, wow, I see that in me. All those different gifts, Jerry,
Mhm.
those
Mhm.
you're referring to. And yes, it can be very confusing. I
Yes.
know
Yes.
right now, coming back out into public for business,
Mhm.
there are a number of things that are weighing on my heart. And it's like,
Yes.
how do I know which one to promote? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yes. And that's why a lot of times we as coaches would say pick one thing. And the reason we say pick one thing and do it for 90 days, that's my favorite to tell people. It's
Mm,
because you really want to horning and understand that 90 days. That 90 days is about promotion. It's really about checking your feeling. That's really the core of it. Checking your feeling. Excuse me. One of the things I learned is I was a natural hairstylist. I braid hair and weave hair. And I start questioning the money part of it, time part of it, and my feeling. I really went into deep core of my feeling. And so when I give up on clients, I start teaching the ones who were interested. So I become a hairstylist teacher. So I was teaching
mhm,
people literally how to braid hair, how to weave hair, the whole gamut. So those
mhm,
people who came and get the hair done and was interested in the business because we had always spoken, I approached them and said, "Did you want to take a class?" And I had about 6 people was like immediately who bought my programs.
uh-huh, uh-huh,
And they came and they took my class. And then I taught them how to turn what they learned into a business model and how to make money from it. My selling point at that point was I want you to make X amount of money, $350 a week out of what I'm teaching you. So if you market it well and you do well, you'll be able to make roughly about $1,200 a month.
mhm,
And once you make that money, and I know you follow my rule, I'm going to show you how to double that money and how to keep doubling that money. I had people who took my program, lived in an apartment, save enough money to buy a home so that they can have the space to have their home salon. So I knew I was tapping into something great. But the question for me was, is this long term? Do I see myself teaching hairstylists? Is that something I want? And I questioned it to death. And I took pencil and paper and I wrote it. I wrote to myself. I wrote it out. I prayed about it. I lined it up. I put all the negatives, all the positive. I post how I felt. I empty me out on the paper. And when all was said and done, I recognized that I did love doing hair and I did love teaching, but it wasn't a long term thing for me. It wasn't what I was meant to do. And I was sad that it wasn't what I was meant to do. And I was sad that I wasn't taking it anywhere else.
mhm,
But I knew deep inside it wasn't my long term goal. And so I
mhm,
sat with it. And after those set of classes, I didn't teach again with hair. And so I knew it wasn't something I was going to do long term. But what happened was I had a kid that came to get his hair braided. And I started talking to him about what he was doing. He's working in a factory and what he didn't like and what he didn't like, what he loved. And he really wanted to play drums. But his parents is like, drums and that's not for you. And he said, I can't tell them. I said, well, do you play the drums? He says, no. I said, then go get some drums. You work, buy the drums and go learn to play the drum. Stay at your job. And he came to see me about 5 to 6 times. And on the fourth visit, he didn't even come. He called me. He says, Caren, I'm playing the drums. And I finally realized what I want to do with my life. I want to make beats. So the drums allowed me to open up into understanding is beats I want to make, not necessarily the drums. But so you're
mhm.
right. If I didn't play the drums, I wouldn't know it's beats I want to make.
Or that there was an opportunity to make beats and make
Beats.
money at making
In
beats.
beats, yes. So he
Mhm.
came back. He says, when I come, I'm telling you now, because when I come, could I get an hour of your time so as to just figure this out, how it's going to happen? And we literally sat after braiding his hair and showing him how much money he brought his paycheck, how much money he makes, what he's going to save, how much he's going to invest in equipment to get going here, and what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And he did that. So when he came back for his sixth visit, he said to me, he says, Caren, I quit my job. I'm on track. We are where I want to be. I talked to my mom and I let her know I can't give her 400 every month. I can give her 200. I'm willing to share a room with my brother if that's what it means for me to stay at home to get this off the ground. Because I went with a plan and not only tell her, she was like, that's what you truly want to do. And she agreed. He was in shock that she agreed, but she agreed because he came with a plan. This was the part of God guiding me into what I'm going to do, but I didn't get it yet. So several people would sit in my chair and they would leave with me counseling them and, coaching them into what is good for them. And they'll get back to me. And I'm telling you, Terry, I was lying on the floor one day, just allowing. I have this thing I do. I just allow whatever's coming to me to happen without asking or questioning. That's when I knew I was going to be a coach. It was just like it. The only way I could explain it, I could just, when it happened, I just jumped up. I was like, what? Say, what? What do you mean? Like, how is that going to show up? And I had all these questions. Of course, I didn't get an answer for it right away, but I was into how am I going to make this happen? How am I going to package it? And because I was so bent on all the rules, it took me a couple of weeks to figure out how this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm a pen and paper gal. So of course I'm writing like crazy, figuring things out, putting it down, getting it straightened out. And I was also in business school. And one of the things I asked for in business school was a coach. Because now after I heard I can get a coach, I should be a coach. I asked for a coach. And the company that was offering the business program, they said a coach, because nobody had asked them for a coach. And the coordinator didn't want to look stupid. So she says, let me get back to you. So I called her up. I said, do you know what a coach is? And she says, I heard about it. I said, well, I've been on YouTube and I've been listening to this and that and what have you. And I would need a coach because I need somebody who not only I need to come in there and get taught business processes in a real formal way, but in a formal way, but I also want somebody I can talk to so they can hear my feelings and hear my heart and actually help me understand some things that is confusing to me. And I've prayed about it. And I could tell you because she was a Christian lady. And she says, yes, I don't know what a coach is, but I'll find out and I'll see if I can add it to the program.
Accountable. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she called me back and she says, Caren, I think I find someone for you. And she found me a coach. I had a coach for a full year. And I got the lady, and the first thing she did was whip me online. She says, you got to be online. Because I wasn't online. I would come on the computer, but I wasn't online, Yeah. And she got me online, and she started showing me all the things I got to do. And we spent a lot of time just diving into me and who I was and what I need to do and where I want to go and all these questions that I'd asked myself, but didn't give myself the permission to just see where it would go, and where it would lead to. And she said, I'm surprised you're not a coach already. You were looking for a coach. I said, I knew I was going to be, but part of me couldn't believe it. So I think you're helping me, formulate the way to get there. And so this is how these things happen. That's how it happened for me. And most people, it's similar if you're paying attention. It's similar ways. You get whisper in your ear. You might be cleaning your house and you rarely start figuring out things for yourself, but you're asking yourself, is this really what's happening? Because the minute you're not pressuring yourself, you get answers. The minute you're not pressuring yourself, you get answers. I was allowing. So if you're cleaning, you're not focusing on that stuff. You're cleaning, so things will come to you. You're cooking, things will come to you. A girlfriend of mine, we had a daycare, and she said to me, she said, Caren, when you go to the washroom, you must go with a pen and paper, because I used to write poetry. And they'll just come and I have to quickly write it because it feels like it comes and goes. I never publish or anything. Or I will just speak it out. And she'd say, how come you don't have a poetry book? I'm like, it just comes and I just would do it. And she says, well, you need to carry it everywhere you go. And that stayed with me. So wherever I am, I have pen and paper. So that when thoughts flow, if it's really rapid, I write it down. Mm-hmm. It's not like I'm getting off track a bit. But this is to really let you understand that you need to know, that you know what you're selling. Because when you do, you're not worried. You're
Jerry
not
says,
worried.
true. She sees that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're not worried that coaching is oversaturated, that sewing, too many people sew, that there's too many salons. You don't see that anymore because you know that you know that you know that you know. That's what you are supposed to do. And that's what you will do in spite of what is happening around you, what is going on in the world. You know, we have a pandemic that had happened that is still going on. But if you know that you're supposed to do something, this part that happened is so that wherever you were failing or falling, God has given you a whole year to stop, catch yourself, and get back there, whatever there is. If you had no money, you still get the time to do it. If you were rich, you still get the time to do it. If you were confused, you still get the time to do it because everybody was given one full year. Everybody. It didn't matter if you were rich or poor. You got the same time.
That's true.
Whatever you did with it, however you took it, that's how you've always taken something. It's not when people are angry and they said it's because this happened. No, you're angry because you've always been angry. You find a new thing to attach your anger to attach your sadness to attach whatever to. But if you were a happy person or a person who seek answers, you'll be seeking in the whole year. You have some low moments, but the majority of the time you'd still be happy. And you'll still be gracious and joyous and wanting to help people if that was your character. You'll still be there doing that. So you know when the season is over, if you were a hairstylist, you'll still be doing hair. You might add a new service to your hairstyling service where you're, either bring somebody in if it's a salon, or you're teaching people techniques, or you're now offering classes. But you'll still be doing it. If you're a cleaner, you would still be clean. If you're a housekeeper, you'll still show up. And if you are really doing what you know you're supposed to be doing and selling, you will call up your clients and say, I know I can't come in, let's say, to clean, but are you having difficulties keeping the home together? Would you like a little bit of advice how you can do this? You would not be afraid that you lose them, because I'm telling you, if you teach them how to keep their home tidy when you're not there, when you come back, they're like, oh my God, take it. Go. Oh, I'm so happy you come back to do it for me, because it's not their forte. They was just in the meantime. You wouldn't lose that business owner. You wouldn't lose the contract. The only reason you lose is when you're afraid. Your fear takes over, and then you lose it because you were cutting ends. You weren't giving them 100% when you went to clean. You're afraid they're going to see the corners you didn't vacuum or mopped. You're afraid for them to see the dirt you didn't take off because you're the cleaner. You're supposed to do it. So you can't tell them to go do it because they're going to find out. Most people hire us because they are clean people in their hearts. They mightn't have the time. I tell people who work for me, I said, don't try to shortchange people, because anybody you go to clean for actually love a clean home. And they understood that their time is valid somewhere else. So they're paying us to come in. Don't mistaken it that they can't clean.
Or that they don't have a history of having cleaned their own houses for years. Yeah. Wow.
But you know what you know. So when you know that, you are able to sell. You are able.
Jerry says, right.
You're able to understand. You're able to just do it in such a way. I was helping out a friend of mine years ago. I went to clean a Sears office and retail and the whole thing, because he was on dialysis. A whole long story. But anyway, I went in, and two workers said this to me. She says, I don't understand. She says, I got to ask you, is this your full-time job? I said, no, I'm helping out a friend. She says, that's it. And she said, what else do you do? I said, well, I got my own cleaning services, but this person really need me because they need to keep the contract. And she says, because you're cleaning differently. I've been in this company for 25 years and people have come and gone, but the way you clean is just different. I can't explain how it is, but I come to my office and I know once you were here for the weekend, I'm going to be okay on Monday. She goes, I know I'm going to be okay. You see, I'm not going in cleaning and saying, well, I don't clean and I hire people to do this. I said yes to helping out somebody. And that person needs to clean the contract so that they can feed their family. This is important for them. I'm just doing this was for like a month. Why would I mess that up for them? Even if they didn't do it as well as they should, I don't care. When I go in, I behave as though nobody knows if I got money. Nobody knows what's my position. I go in to clean Sears. And Terry, I clean Sears. I empty all the garbage. I got rid of all the recycling. Me and the staff talk like I know them forever. And most times the guys at the back will say, don't worry, the garbage, I emptied it for you. Oh, let me take out the recycle for you. I used to get so much help. Because I am not going in with an attitude. I'm not better than anybody else. I went to clean Sears. That's it. And I get it done because I said yes to somebody who was in need. And I help them. And when we're selling, we're giving to somebody something that they're in need of. And we are the solution for them. So if we don't know, yes, Jerry, you do it with excellence. You do it. You look after people. And if you don't want to do it, don't get into business. Don't open a coffee shop. Don't open a salon. Don't say, can't wait to finish this woman here so she can leave and I can sit down and get a cup of coffee. Just don't open a salon. Don't open whatever. Get in there and do it because you want to do it. Our grocery store that's close by, that guy at No Frills, he's a quite annoying, but he's such a good owner. Like he get in there, he would clean up the vegetables with the young school kids. Carlos always around and excuse me. I said, I know you're the owner. What are you trying to pull on me? But he is in there. He's in there he is doing along with the guys. He's correcting whatever needs to be corrected. But he's on the floor. You can go up to him and say, those vegetables don't looking too happy today. He goes, you think? I say, yeah, we have too much water on them. He goes, okay, we need to change it. He's in there. He doesn't have to be. He owns it. It's a big company. When somebody buy the company he has is a chain of franchise. When you buy a No Frills, you got money. You have to own, I know because I went to check it out. You got to own $1 million home. You need to have $2 million cash flow before they allow you to apply. Never mind if you're going to be able to get the franchise to apply. This is the prerequisite to apply. So he got money to be doing it. And I tell you, Terry, you walk in there, and if he see you, he'll be, morning, ma'am. How are you doing today? What can we help you with? Look after the lady. You would know. He and his wife, he's mostly there. But he and his wife, when they are running about in their big, giant grocery store, they're not just walking around. If a shelf is looking this not good, fixing it up, he dust it off, he pack it up, he call the people. If he see the guys are doing and it's a lot of boxes, he starts stocking with the young kids and he moving around because that's what he knows. He understands what he is selling.
What we're really selling.
What he's really selling.
Wow. What Jerry says, that's good stuff. Yeah, we need to really know what it is we're selling. We need to get in touch with our emotions.
We do. We do. And it takes time. I understand it takes time. It's not an overnight thing. Some of us know it right away, but someone has to learn. And you got to be willing to learn. And one of the things this week, I'm reading this book about habits. And I always say it, you got to willing to be bored and be boring. Business is boring. I tell people it's not the highlight on YouTube and when I'm talking here. Business is boring. I do a lot of boring stuff before I come and talk.
I hear you. We do. We have a lot of steps we have to go through before we step out here. We have a lot of information that we can't share it, but because it's down in there, it just sort of flows out conversationally. It takes a lot of time to become an expert at things. And an expert is someone also who makes things look easy.
Mhm.
So, so Coach, we want to thank you for making it look easy because you've taken the time to study to show yourself approved. And so that's why we have you come in and talk to us, because we know that you've done the research, and yet you can explain it to us in such a way that we can implement it in our businesses easily. So we thank you for all the time that you put in. And we thank you for the value of your experience. Guys, if you're looking for a coach, you want to get in touch with Coach Caren. That's, let me go here, Profits in Daily with Coach Caren Fern. And I love this. It's Caren with a C. I like this. I enjoy saying that because
Oh,
it
she sounds like me.
distinguishes.
That's what I often say. It's Karen with a C.
The C, yes, it distinguishes you from others. So with that, we want to thank you for your time. Cecilia says, "Oh, wait a minute, you got some comments over here." Jenny says, "Yes, thank you so much, Coach." She says, "This is good stuff." And then Cecilia says, "I love Coach Caren." Yeah, we do too,
Yeah.
Cecilia, and we love you guys. So
We love you, yes, and appreciate you.
we want to remind you guys to go to the front of your own line, and we will see you here tomorrow for Happy Healthy Habits with Robin Shamizu and friends. And Friday we'll be talking tech in English. Don't be scared. Come on over, learn some stuff. We're going to explain it all in a way that you'll be able to understand
All
it.
right.
Uh, I'm a witness. Okay. And with that, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again, Coach. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.